Hello, it's Leslie here again. So today I wanted to talk about another lens that I own. That's the Sigma 12 to 24 EX DG. This is the first version that Sigma did. So there's another version after this. So this is not the most well-known lens. And you know, I bought this. This is my first proper true ultra wide zoom angle lens. I think this is the only zoom lens that I own at the moment, and the reason for that is because I read somewhere that at the wide angle lens the field of view changes more, and a zoom can be more handy or handier than having a bunch of prime lenses. So I thought, okay, if you're going to have one zoom, have a wide angle zoom. So I hunted around for ages to get this lens, and now it's been superseded, and there's a lot of other lenses that are out there new. But actually it's still pretty good in terms of, like, it's still, yeah. So a lot of new lenses have come out. There's the Canon 11mm lens, which Nikon doesn't have an equivalent sort of that wide. And there's IRIX, and there's Laowa or something. And even so, I'm not 100% convinced by some of those lenses because of the distortion and everything. And that's one of the things that I look for me anyway, is low distortion. Now I know that can be corrected in the post-processing, but I come from the film era, and one of the first distortions, I suppose you could say, that I noticed with my cheap ass lens that I had on the camera that I ran around the world with a few times, one of the first things I noticed about it was the distortion, the pincushion distortion or the barrel distortion, which you couldn't get rid of with film. So that I put that a high priority. So I went around hunting around for a low distortion wide angle lens, and this lens here actually has less distortion than this is the predecessor to the new one. It has less distortion than the newer model, and it has less distortion than I think even the IRIX and all these other things. It's still, if you look at the specs, this is actually, this lens here is, and the successor to this, the 12mm 12 to 24, I think they've changed it to a 14 to 24 now, but the 12 to 24 version is, I think, still the widest angle autofocus lens for Nikon. So it's kind of amazing. But I think this lens goes back all the way, let me check, that's interesting, it was introduced in 2003, they say. So yeah, the remarkable thing about this lens is how little distortion it has. So I was quite surprised by that. That's the main reason why I got it. It does suffer from vignetting wide open, but I don't care so much about that. And also, it's got a very dark aperture. Like, the aperture's 4.5 to 5.6, which is pretty bad. However, with a modern digital camera, that's not such a big deal, because you can boost the ISO. So I haven't found that to be that restrictive as much as you might think. And at night you could do a long exposure, so it's not as bad as it sounds, although I would like a faster lens. But I'm not going to replace it because the replacements are all very expensive. And you could pick this lens up here for $400 now. Maybe not in Australia, but I've seen it on eBay. There's a couple of copies there now. You can get this lens for $400, and I think it's worth it for $400, you know. The other thing about this lens, it does flare like crazy when you stop it down. There's it has, oh, I think, let me check. Well, let me have a look. Yeah, it has 16 elements in it, which I think was quite a lot for the day. 3 aspherical elements, 4 super low, what is it? Dispersion, I think, elements, like the equivalent ED or sigma. So apparently it's a very well corrected lens. Just hang on. Focusing is fast enough, but I found the focusing can sometimes not work properly all the time. So the focusing is a little bit dodgy. Yeah. I think it works. It's going to work better on the camera that where I have the dedicated manual switch on it. So yeah. So what happens? Yeah, I was talking about the flaring. It does flare like crazy, but you might not care about that too much. Now the thing is, it stops down to f22. I think it is at 12 millimeters, but at 24 millimeters it stops down to f29. So yeah, now I have to figure out a way to show you my photos at full resolution. Now the trouble is with these videos I'm doing with the webcam that I have at the moment, it's only 1080 pixels. Maybe in the future I'll get a 4K webcam, but at the moment this is what I'm dealing with. So either I have to make the webcam small and then show you the photos at 4K, or have to change the size of this. I'm not sure what I'll do yet. So I'll show you a couple of photos. They're not that great, but I haven't actually, I mainly use this for landscape and other things, not street photography, but I have taken it out a few times and it's a fun lens to take around. It is kind of noticeable though, because look at the size of it, 600 grams, which is heavy for me, but not that heavy as far as a wide angle lens goes. I also took the gold strip off to make it a little bit more discreet. You know, I don't want a gold ring around my lens if I was in a wrong area. I don't want to draw too much attention to myself. So I took that off. I peeled it off. It's a sticker. It's made in Japan, so I'm happy with it. Although eventually a lens is going to probably come along and knock it out of the park, but I've already got it, so I'm happy to use it at the moment. And also I'll say that it's so wide that it's even wide for a DX camera. So it's equivalent to what would it be, 18 to 36 millimeters, I think, for a crop sensor camera. So most of the time I had it on that at 18 to 36. So I was looking at a few other lenses before doing this lens chat, let's call it, and I think there's a 10 millimeter lens out there now, but I think looking at the pictures of that, it's probably too wide because it ends up being extremely distorted at the edges. And I think when I was picking this lens, I wanted the widest angle. I thought wider is better, but having a look at what 10 millimeters looks like, it's ridiculously wide, I think. And I think it just doesn't look right to me, and I actually prefer to move over to a fisheye at that point to get in more if I'm going to do that. So yeah, at the moment I'm not using it. It's not really, I don't really use it that much for street photography, but I use it sometimes now and then. I took it on holidays, and maybe I'll put up the photo of on holidays for landscape and not the street photography photos. Maybe I'll just put up what landscape photos I took. Yeah, I might do that. So that's all I wanted to say really. That's one of my lenses. It's the only zoom lens that I own. Yeah, I can I'll keep it for the time being just for landscape, and if I ever do architectural sort of stuff. For street photography, I think I'm going to try this one out, this because it's smaller, 24 AFD, which is faster as well. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about. That's a lens that I think gives quite okay performance for the price that it's going for on eBay. $400, 12 to 24 millimeter. It's pretty sharp. It's not the sharpest lens in the corners on full frame, wide open. But if you want more in focus, anyway, you won't be taking it at that aperture. You'll be taking it f8 or something like that. So I'll put up some photos that I took with this lens. I was really happy with it. At the moment, it's kind of one of my bigger lenses, and I'm trying to get smaller lenses. So who knows whether I'll keep it forever. I mean, maybe if a 12 millimeter lens comes along that's as big as or as small as an AFD, then I could see myself getting rid of it. But at the moment, it covers what I want it to do better than other lenses, and it's cheap, so I won't be getting rid of it yet. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.